Hello YouTube, and welcome to the first episode that D-Raptor is going to bring to you. I'm D-Raptor, if you couldn't figure that out, and today I'm going to be doing a deck profile of a BuddyFight deck that I made. It is a 5th Omni deck, of course, but with my own very slight twist to it. Alright, now let's get it started off here with the flag, since it is Dragon World, of course. See, little Gamikado. This is from the secret pack in Assaults of the Omni Lord, which the store in my area has yet to get, which is a little weird. Good thing I pre-ordered it from somewhere else to get some of these. Alright. And my buddy here is 5th Omni Cavalry Dragon Sand-Stabbed Arcade. Don't ridicule me if I got these names wrong. It's a 2000 power, 2 crit, 2000 defense, size 1. It cannot be called to the center, and when you are dealt damage, if you have no monster in your center, you may move this monster to the center, and when this card is destroyed, put the top card of your deck into the gauge, and you gain 1 life. Nice little handy thing. Alright, now let's get it started off with my size 2s. Start us off with 4 copies. We have the beast, the legend of this deck, 5th Omni Dragon Lord Drum. 635, size 2, with the Omni ability, as you can see right here. He cannot be called to the center. Pay 1 gauge and put the top card of your deck into his soul. He does have Soul Guard. And when you are dealt damage, if you have 6 life or less, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. And the one that you see right here is the Buddy Rare form. Nice and solid gold. Very standard art. And this is the secret art one. The normal art that most of you would get if you get the secret pack. And then this next one is the alternate art in the secret pack, which I got 2 of. They're roughly about, I want to say maybe 80 to 100 for the alternate, and then 80 to 90 for the original. About 70 for the Buddy Rare. Next, we have Blue Sky Knights Drum Bunker Dragon. 523, size 2. Pay 1 gauge to call, and then add a Blue Sky Knights from your hand to his soul. Every time he attacks, you gain a life. With Soul Guard, it's a really nice strategy. If I had a Dragon Ian deck, it might combo really well with him and 5th Omni Drum, but you know, small steps, right? Small steps. And next, we have 2 copies of 5th Omni Armored Dragon Soul Returner Shakari. Sorry if I ruined that. 525, size 2, pay 1 gauge, and when he enters the field, if you have no other monsters on your field, you may call a size 1 or less with 5th Omni in the card's name from your drop zone by paying its call cost. So it's a great way to bring my buddy back, or even get some help as well to get rid of some cards, or gain gauge as well, which we'll see later on. Next, with only 1 copy, I have 5th Omni Cavalry Dragon Magical Blade Mazuru. Yeah. Mazuru? There we go. That sounds right. He's a 725, size 2. Cannot be called to the center. It's pay 1 gauge. And when I am attacked, that's right, attacked only, you may pay a gauge, and if you do, draw a card. And the best thing is about it, doesn't say once per turn, so I can do it each time my opponent attacks. So I can stack up my hand quite nicely with this card. Next, with 2 copies, I have 5th Omni Armored Dragon Steel Ball Renduel. a 4/3/4, size 2, pay 1 gauge to call him. If I have another 5th Omni card out on my field, he gains 1 critical and he has move already. So that basically means he'll be a 4/4/4. 4s across the board, you know. Nice early card if you start off with him in your hand. Swing for 4 damage right away and move him around so you're going to protect yourself a little bit. And then next, we're getting into size 1s. My buddy, obviously with 4 copies in it. All know about her. Next, with 2 copies, I have 5th Omni Cavalry Dragon Windbow Megalix. He's a 2/2/1 size 1, and his ability is Wind Shock. When I am dealt damage, you may pay 1 gauge. If you do, destroy a size 1 or less monster on your opponent's field. As you can see, his ability requires gauge, but it's a nice ability to get rid of some pesky size 1s or less on the field. Next, we have 5th Omni Cavalry Dragon Fire Sword Double, a 5/2/1 size 1. He can't be called to the center, but when I am dealt damage, I put the top card of my deck into the gauge. His ability only activates once per turn, which is quite nice, dealing with the fact that the last card needed gauge to use its ability, and a size 2 also needed gauge. So here's one of my gauge gainers that I have in this deck as of right now. And next, with 2 copies, I have Blue Sky Knight's Bondblade Dragon, the 5/1/5 size 1, pay 2 gauge to call with the ability of Water Crystal Explosion. When this card enters the field, destroy a size 1 or less monster on your opponent's field and gain 1 life, which is quite nice to do as well. It is a little bit higher than I would like in this deck, but it works real well for getting rid of one of my opponent's monsters and getting life on top of it. It's a fair trade-in, but I still wish it was 1 gauge. And then next, and the last size 1 in my deck, is 5th Omni Armor Dragon Leaping Zarkuro, a 1/2/1 size 1. I can only call this card if my buddy monster has 5th Omni in the card's name. And when this card enters the field, if I have 6 life or less, I get to search my deck for up to 1/5 Omni Dragon Lord Drum and put it into my hand and shuffle the deck. Then, if you put Drum into your hand, you take 1 damage. Obviously, it's to try to activate some abilities that you already have out there and making sure you're nice lull with Drum when you get him out there as well. And next, my size 0, Double Squeak Hammer Dragon, a 2/1/1 size 0. With the counter, during my turn, put this card from the field to my drop zone. If you do, put the top card of your deck into your gauge. So this is my other one. I only have 2 copies at the moment. Hopefully we'll get some more, and maybe some of the 5th Omni size 0 as well. Next, I'll move on to my weapons, or items I should say. I have 2 of this card here. 5th Omni Dragon Fist Ablaze, with the equip cost of pay 1 gauge and you take 1 damage, instead of the typical pay 1 life, which actually is quite unique just to the 5th Omni weapon itself here, because then it also activates all your 5th Omni's Cavalry Dragon's abilities and even Drum's ability as well. And then its first ability is, other than damage dealt by an attack, damage dealt to you is reduced by 1. So that means impacts would be reduced by 1. Thundermine would be irrelevant with this weapon equipped. And then, if you have a card with Drum in the name on your field, this card gets 3000 power and penetrate, making it a 6/2 weapon instead of a 3/2. Next, I have Dragon Lord Sword Drago Emperor, a 6/2 item, pay 1 gauge and pay 1 life. Unfortunately, you can't take damage, which would be way better. And then if you were to be dealt 3 damage or greater, it is reduced by 1. So basically, if you've seen the anime, This is the item that Gao has been using so far. It's nice against impacts, making them 2 or less, or 3 and so forth, and how much they do. And it kind of brings down those heavy hitter from other worlds that have high crits as well. Next, we'll move on into spells. I have 3 of Dragon Lord Shield. I can only cast this card if I'm being attacked and if I don't have a monster in my center. I get to nullify the attack and take 1 damage, and this card cannot be nullified, which is quite nice, stopping a lot of people, like in Katana World, who like to nullify spells. And then you get to activate all your 5th Omni abilities as well. Next is the much enhanced Drago energy. Even though you can't chain with it, it's Drago Solid. You may cast this card if a monster in your left and right is being attacked, unfortunately. But its counter, choose one of the monsters in battle, give it 5,000 power and 5,000 defense and counterattack. I have 4 copies of that in the deck, which comes in quite nicely, especially if people think, oh, I can squeeze by with just 100 or right on the dot. Did I say 100? I mean 1,000 points over my defense. So it's a nice little surpassing them. And next up, 4 copies as well. I have Drago Pride 5th Omni Dignity. You may cast this card if you have 2 or more cards with 5th Omni in the card name on your field. Put the top card of your deck into your gauge and you gain 2 life. I honestly like to use this card when I have the 5th Omni Fist Ablaze equipped and any 5th Omni out there, because it still counts as a 5th Omni card. It doesn't say monster at all in here. And then you gain your 2 life back, from 1 from taking the damage from equipping the item, and then it's just nice little balancing through, keep you struggling through, because this deck really does strive in the 5-6 area because of Drum, because his ability can only be used during that time. Next, I have 3 copies of Dragon Guard. You may only cast this card if you have a monster on your field being attacked. Counter, change that target to you and draw a card. This works especially well in 5th Omni deck because, as you know, if you take damage, abilities activate. But then it's quite unique because it doesn't specify what monsters on your field has to be attacked. So that means you can have a monster in your center, move the attack to you, so basically giving them your opponent Shadow Dive to damage you just to get 1 card off a draw. But then you're still getting the abilities to activate as well, which is also quite nice with this card. That's why I only run it at 3. I may go up to 4, but that depends on later times and what else comes out in sets. Next, I have Dragon Change. To cast this card, you need to take 1 damage and counter, choose a monster with 5th Omni in the card's name on your field during this turn. The next time that card would be destroyed, you may prevent it from leaving the field. So basically saying, I'll activate my 5th Omni abilities, but now you can't destroy that monster you wanted to destroy. Nice little troll card, I like to say. It's helped me win a lot of battles before. That's why I still got it in the deck. I may bump it up to 3, but I think a solid 2 is good for right now. Next, I have Draconic Heal. Very simple, gain 2 life. No counter, so I have to use it on my turn. It would be nice if it had counter, make it a little bit more versatile, maybe have a few more copies in there as well. But it's also kind of a placeholder until, I forget what the name of the card is, but it comes out, I believe, in Mikado Evolution, or BuddyFight All-Stars, which is actually a way better version of Draconic Heal. Next, with 2 copies, Draconic Grimoire Backwater Inscription. You can only cast this card if you have 5 life or less. Discard your entire hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into gauge, and draw 2 cards. You can only cast this card once per turn, which is quite nice, especially if you have a few monsters on your field that require gauge. Right there you have 2 gauge to use on it, And then you also had 2 more cards. It's obviously, you're going to use it when you only have 1 of it in your hand. Use that and then gain 2 cards. A little free draw card, if you will. Next, I have Secret Treasure of Dragon's Drago Potion. Choose and use one of the following 4. You may only cast Secret Treasure of Dragon's Drago Potions once per turn. First one, you gain 1 life. Second one, you put the top card of your deck into your gauge. Third one, counter. For this turn, an item on your field gets plus 1,000 power. Fourth, counter, you take 1 damage. Mainly when you have this card in your deck, you're using the 4th ability. Maybe with the first one occasionally here and there, and the second one here and there. But you never really use it for the gaining power for your weapons. That's why I only have this card at 2, for that one reason. Next and finally is my Impact. Dragon Lord Intention Giga Howling Crusher. You may only cast this card if you have a buddy monster or monster with drum in its card name on your field. You have an item equipped and neither you nor your opponent has a monster in your center. Pretty basic for your Dragon World impacts. Cast cost, pay 3 gauge. Deal damage to your opponent equal to the sum of the criticals of a monster and an item on your field. The damage cannot be reduced, but that doesn't mean it can't be nullified, of course, which would suck. I have that at 2 copies, but I am thinking about getting rid of it because in BuddyFight, not many people use impacts nowadays because impacts are kind of irrelevant now. But I'd just like to have it just to have that say, I just ended you with my final turn. So with that, that kind of wraps up my video on my deck here for 5th Omni with a little bit of Blue Sky Knights in there. If you have any suggestions for me, please leave a comment below and check out some of my other videos. Subscribe, like the video, try to get me up there in support. But until next time, this was D-Raptor. I'm out.